cheap out, apparently. I didn't even get to $2,500. I'm low. The last $300 I'm recommending that you spend on Cliff Bars and beer to get through your job. That's what I would do. And particularly the crunchy peanut butter Cliff Bars. Welcome to the Fine Home Building Podcast, our weekly discussion of building, remodeling, and design topics aimed at anybody who cares deeply about the craft and science of working on houses. I'm Justin Fink. I'll be your host. I'm joined by editorial director Rob Yagid. Say hello, Rob.
Hello, Justin.
And associate editor Patrick McCombe.
Hey, Justin.
Hello, friends. Today, we're going to argue about the best way to spend $2,500 on new tools. But before we get into that, I'm going to remind you of some housekeeping stuff. Our email address, fhbpodcast@taunton.com, where you can send us your questions and topics for discussion. And I'd like to mention again that we're now sharing videos of each episode on YouTube under the Fine Home Building channel. And you can still find links and photos related to each episode on our website, finehomebuilding.com/podcast. And while you're there, take a quick survey for a chance to win one of 10 Amazon Echoes. Is it plural? Is it an Amazon? It's an Amazon Echo.
I think you will win one Amazon Echo.
Right, but you will win one of 10
Echoes.
Echoes?
I think so, because it's a thing.
Hal for your
Did
house?
you hear that logic?
It's a thing.
It's a thing. Win one of 10 things.
Sure is.
Anyway, so we want you to tell us your thoughts about the podcast. So take that little survey, and you can have a chance to have your very own, version of 1984 right in your house. Recording all your thoughts and whatever else. Before we jump into the big question of the day, I had a little bit of feedback. Stephen wrote to us that in episode 49, we were talking about installing Euro cup hinges, which are measured in millimeters. One of the best investments ever was buying a metric tape measure. I use it for all my kitchen cabinets and a variety of built-ins. I find that millimeters are a better unit than sixteenths, which are too big, or 30-seconds, which are too small. That's a good tip from Stephen. So, I know Brian was complaining about we all were actually trying to convert the millimetros.
I've heard of other carpenters making that switch for that reason, but I don't know.
Well, it's not making a switch, really. It's just having one.
Having one on hand.
I bet you have to switch your measurements, right?
Well, just it'll be all right, Pat.
Yep.
I don't know.
So we originally had a few questions lined up for today, as per usual. But we had one question that we anticipate being so huge that we are going to just give over the entire episode to it.
This is the best podcast prep I've had in a long time.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's always fun spending someone else's money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So the question is, this comes from Tim. Tim says, a friend of mine recently asked for advice on what tools he should buy for some work he had planned around his house. And it got me thinking it would be a good topic to hear you guys discuss. So let me make up an example, and maybe you guys can all come up with your list and compare. So we're going to assume that the person needing the tools already has the basic and bare essentials covered. Maybe one of those all-in-one hand tool kits, including tape measure, wrenches, screwdrivers, a hammer, and so forth, but no pro-grade remodeling or woodworking tools or power tools. He or she wants to gut the upper floor of an old house and do as much of the remodeling and refitting work for themselves as possible. So, if I gave you a budget of $2,500 for tools, how would you suggest they spend it and why? So, at the core of this thing, when I got this question, I said to Patrick and Rob that we're each going to have a budget of $2,500 and that we're not going to communicate with each other in terms of what each of us comes up with for a list of tools. But then we're all going to come on the air here, and we're going to compare our lists and argue about how you would spend the $2,500.
One Festool track car.
Yeah. And
At first, Rob said a truck, right?
yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I'm buying a truck.
Yeah, I'm buying a $500 Ford Ranger.
For the people that don't,
Early 90s.
Like we joke on the air that Rob needs more information all the time, but the funny thing about this question was immediately when I sent it via email to Rob, he was in my office like 2 minutes later with a million follow-up questions. He wanted to know, what kind of work are we going to do? What kind of tools do they have? Are we supposed to assume this? Are we supposed to create this list on Amazon? How are we going to, he's panicking. This is like Rob's nightmare.
High anxiety.
High anxiety.
Still sticking with the
So-
truck.
That sounds good, Jeff. Thank you. I'm having a little audio issue over here.
A little low?
Yeah, you got a little drop of water right on the middle of your nose,
That's
Rob.
sweat.
You're really
He's
sweating.
already anxious.
Rob, for those of you watching the video, Rob is showing off a water bottle with a Keep Craft Alive sticker on it, which some of you know about. If you do not know about Keep Craft Alive, go to keepcraftalive.org.
Buy a shirt.
Buy a shirt and help support the trade. So all that money goes towards scholarships. So keepcraftalive.org. What did you call that? A water vessel?
Yeah, I called it a water vessel.
That's elegant.
We are not selling water
classy.
vessels.
Yeah, man.
Although we
But
should
you could
be.
buy a sticker and slap it on any water vessel you'd like.
And make it almost as classy. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. This little side note there. So what we did was we all went onto Amazon just because it's a nice, easy, kind of universal place to buy tools.
And the price is verifiable, right?
Right. Price is verifiable. So we all created our separate lists. And what we're going to do is we're going to put those lists on the blog post for this episode, which is, I believe, episode 55. And you're going to go to our website. You're going to look at our lists. If you're interested in buying any of the stuff we talked about, or you're like, oh, what was the model number that Patrick was really into, whatever it is, you can go check it out, and you can outfit your toolkit to be just like us.
Justin actually bought all these tools.
Yeah, I put them all in my cart, and I bought them all on the company dime.
We just made wish lists.
Yeah, so that I could hold them up for the video. So I figured the best way to do this is, well, first of all, overarching thoughts. $2,500.
Guess you.
It's a pretty good start.
Yeah, you
That's a
could
pretty good
pretty
start.
much get a lot done.
I
with
thought it was
$2,500
going to be a
bucks.
lot harder. Like, I thought it was going to be some tough choices, but I found that I have,
I feel like I think I got some blatant holes things that I have
think we're
not
all
thought
going to
about.
find that there's stuff we overlooked for sure.
So when we talk about gutting in this fictitious example, we talk about gutting and kind of remodeling the upstairs of a house. To me, we're going tear down all the way to the
yeah.
studs and subfloor and everything, and then back up
Yeah.
to finish.
And
I mean, that's
pre-
a
and
pretty
pretty
wide
much-
range of tools.
And so pretty much hitting every
And-
general carpentry task.
yeah.
Yeah, and our question indicated they wanted to do everything they possibly
Yeah.
could, which does that mean electrical and plumbing? and,
yeah.
So that's
Right.
a whole new category of tools, right?
Right. So what I figured we could do is we could kind of start with the big ticket items and talk about, because we're all going to have, for instance, like a table saw. Let's assume.
I don't have a table saw.
No. Let's assume we all have a table saw. So then it becomes, so which table saw did you choose with the money? But then when we get down to, I'm guessing that once we get down the list a little bit, we're going to start to see some of these items that are just personal preference. And I think
yeah.
that's where the interesting, like Rob's going to definitely have his Bucket Boss tool belt that he loves.
I don't have a tool belt on my list.
Let's start with power tools.
So I just sorted my list from low to high price, which puts the power tools at the
How
end.
did you do that?
Yeah, so there's a little,
That's amazing.
I got to go to my list. Hold on.
there's a filter.
Justin's
pull-down
$2,500
menu.
tool list. Here we go.
There's a
Build,
filter.
sort.
Yep, there you go.
Filter and sort. Got it.
You went high to low or low to high?
I went low to high.
Wait, I'm going to go high to low.
If you want
get the big
let's get
tickets
the big
first.
tickets.
I'm just
Yeah.
going to go to scroll to the bottom of my list.
Okay.
All right.
Why would you? Okay. What's the biggest ticket item you have on there?
You asking me?
Yes.
A Bosch GTS 1031 10-inch portable job site table saw.
How much does that cost?
$379. And I got the stand too.
So did I. Same exact model.
Yeah,
Same
because you
exact
have
stand.
this. You have this saw.
I do.
Yes,
And
and
it's
it's
sweet.
pretty awesome, right?
Nope. I went for the DeWalt.
Did you?
I actually own that Bosch saw,
And you went for the DeWalt.
and I
Why?
would buy the DeWalt next time. I think the fence is better on the DeWalt. It has that rack and pinion fence that you adjust it and it glides on both the front and back rail. So
So that's the one I have now.
ensures it stays parallel. So do you not like it?
I wanted something less expensive.
Yeah. How much is that DeWalt?
This is less expensive. It's $299.
I didn't see
Whoa,
that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
So there
I
you
got
go.
it without the stand purposely.
We're at $379 for our table saw.
Yeah.
And the
So
stand
I-
$75, $79, something
Yeah,
like
I
that?
think either one of those would be a great choice. For
Wait. So the stand is on top of that?
Yeah.
yes, yeah, it's
So how
another
much are you
$80.
spending?
$379 plus 80. What is that? $450.
Oh, please. Who knows? Yeah, $450.
Was it
$460, I think.
So you spent $460, $450.
I originally had the Bosch 4100 in there, which was like $600, and I was like, "Well, this is not going to work," because I was driving to work one morning. I'm like, "Oh my god, I forgot
a table saw.
a jigsaw."
This was a really stressful experiment.
Yeah.
What's the most expensive on your list, Rob?
10-inch dual slide compound miter saw.
So
Whoa.
so the miter saw
Makita.
category.
And I originally had the Bosch 10-inch, but I had to take it off because it's like $100 more expensive. There's a pricey little tool.
Yeah.
Miter saw is a top dollar item.
Yeah.
I did not put one on my list.
Hold on a second. We'll get to that in a minute.
Wait a second.
So talk to me about why you made a choice of 10-inch slide versus, I mean, because you have single bevel, dual bevel,
Yeah.
10-inch fixed, 10-inch slide, 12-inch fixed, 12-inch slide. This is a tough one to really
we
make
talk
a
about
choice.
that, like dual bevel, like cut capacity wasn't like a huge priority, you know?
Because you're mostly installing casing and baseboard.
But you don't want to be
and
flipping stock or doing anything
Right.
like that. And
the dual bevels a must.
Yeah.
Are you figuring you're going to be using this for the rough work too? You're going to be cutting studs to length for partition walls and flooring. And,
yeah, I guess. I mean, use your miter saw
All the time.
All the time.
Well, I mean, I do. A lot of people.
So that's why I
are
felt like
circular
throw a
saw
little bit more
guys,
money at that.
You know.
So I just forgot it.
Oh, okay.
So Patrick's getting
Truth
no
be
work done on
told.
his remodel.
This is
So you
like
can't
I'm going
do
to be cutting
anything.
casing on my table saw, which is going to be really inconvenient.
wow. All right.
So what did you choose for your miter saw?
I did the DeWalt 12-inch single bevel
Single bevel. that's-
non-slide.
Yeah, so that was the cheapest thing you could buy, 12 inches, I presume.
Probably it's about
Yeah.
$250. And the
Yeah,
DeWalt saw is
you're
just
$200 less than I am.
yeah. I mean, it's a pretty. You guys don't know how to cheap out. Apparently, I didn't even get to $2,500. I'm low. The last $300 I'm recommending that you spend on Cliff Bars and beer to get through your job. That's what I would do. And you know, particularly the crunchy peanut butter Cliff Bars.
Right. Yeah, those
And
are
you can
good.
leave those right in your belt, right?
Yeah, those are the ones you want. And you know, any good IPA.
How do you feel about that single bevel, 12-inch?
I think that's an okay choice. The
It's
only
a big saw, isn't it?
Can I
12 inches is
12
useful.
inch is a big saw, though,
but
right?
it's really useful.
Can I point out
Pain in
that
the
one
ass
of the
to carry
bullet
around.
points under the specs of this saw is the first bullet point is NA for non-applicable. I don't know
Right.
why. Second one is imported. The third one is sharp and thin saw. I don't know what that means.
I think that was someone's attempt at translating, but
So do you have? What do you have? You have a
I have a
couple.
12-inch slider. In my shop,
In
I
your
have,
shop,
in my
though.
shop, I have a 12-inch straight chop.
that's what I have too.
So you're lugging that big old 12-inch saw around job
I
sites and
don't.
stuff.
People complain about that. I have no problem moving that thing.
It's way
'Cause
easier than
you're
moving
a
a
big
slider.
dude. You're a big dude.
Well, I mean, I'm tall. I'm not big. You know, you bevel the, or you slide the miter table all the way over to one side.
Yeah,
So it's
you lock
small.
The, you lock
Sure.
the blade down,
Sure.
and then you
Yeah,
gotta grab it.
it's narrower
Can I
that
finish,
way.
Rob, please.
Yeah. Yeah, we get it.
And you got to hold the thing up to your chest as close as you can, and that's you know, grab it as low as you can and pull it up to your chest as high as you can, and it's a piece of cake.
Piece of cake.
He's got
of cake.
Gary 2 or 3 at once. No, so here's why I went 12-inch. It was between, for me, for a first saw, it's between a 10-inch slider and a 12-inch fixed. Ultimately, a 12-inch slider is for me like the best of everything because you can cut shelf boards, you can cut wide.
It's just so heavy. That's the only drawback, right?
Yes.
It's like just stupid heavy.
Again, it does not really sway me for this. I don't.
If you only had one, that would be fine.
Yeah,
Right?
especially in the context of I'm setting up in a remodeling situation where I'm doing the upstairs in my house.
You're going to leave it set up.
Yeah,
and,
I'm not loading it in and out of a truck, carrying it up and down the stairs. You're gonna have to move it around.
Did you buy a stand?
I did not buy a stand,
I didn't buy a stand either
and that was purposeful.
I wouldn't buy a stand.
I didn't buy
Not
a stand for
miter
the table saw either.
because you're gonna make one.
I believe in making your own sawhorses. Let's talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any sawhorses on my list,
I agree.
Correct.
and I make my own outfeed table. I like to use a hollow core door, preferably a solid hollow core door. That is heavy. But it's a
Yes.
great, yeah, it's like basically
Solid hollow
particle board with melamine on the outside. Not melamine, Luan on the
Luan.
outside. You can get them off the shelf at Home Depot.
And if you start building something, you will soon find that you have offcuts that are perfect for making outfeed tables and stuff, you know, and you can assemble that stuff with drywall screws in, you know, under a half hour for a great outfeed, even infeed.
Yep. I mean, I've tried a lot of miter saw stands, and I keep on circling back to making your own seems to be the best miter saw stand that I can get.
And I'll be the first to admit that I'm not scared to put the saw on the ground and make a few cuts. And,
Yeah.
you know, like some people make a big deal about that, but
I'm going to sneeze. No, I'm not going to sneeze.
Okay.
We're good.
Good.
Okay.
Okay.
But I did.
so that was the second most expensive thing on both of your lists?
Actually, the most expensive on my list was a combo kit.
A cordless combo kit.
I got the 5-tool combo kit, DeWalt combo kit. And I don't want you to think that I'm all DeWalt here. It's just that
was a good
these
deal,
three happen
probably.
to be.
I actually went with a lot of DeWalt stuff too, just because
It was a good deal.
I got onto one platform, and then so I just kept.
It's a really
Stayed on that platform.
important.
So what's in that kit, Justin?
It's a 5-tool. So I've got a flashlight, which I'll probably throw.
Don't count that.
Throw
So we're down
away.
to 4 tools.
Yep, exactly. So you got a hammer drill driver, you got an
Good.
impact driver,
Yeah.
you got the circular saw, 6.5-inch circular saw, and the recip saw, which to
not
me
bad.
is like the remodel kit. Like that's everything you need.
So I've got.
So do you have? I'm sorry to interrupt, Rob. Do you have a corded circ saw in your list also?
I do not. That was a
So-
big push for me. It was
You didn't want one?
No, I did, but I thought, can I really still justify it? Because this one really does a freaking good job.
Yeah, I
It's
could.
cordless
know,
saw.
but-
I couldn't justify it.
Are you gonna rip like dimensional lumber with a cordless circular saw?
I mean, they're-
I don't know,
they're-
man.
Yeah, you are.
You are?
I mean, I would personally. I like to have a worm drive saw.
So that's on my list.
My worm
except
drive.
as a
My worm drive is missing a cord currently. So for this porch that I've been building, I've had to use a sidewinder, and I just
That's a
I'm-
weird thing,
I'm
right?
annoyed with it.
Yeah.
like it's not powerful enough. I want to just punch my way through
So
wood,
I-
and I want a worm drive for it.
So
I
I
want
didn't.
that
Go
torque
ahead.
to
I
rip
didn't,
my
I didn't buy
wrist.
the remodeling kit. I didn't see like the combo kit, so I kind of bought it piecemeal. But I still have the impact driver, drill driver combo kit. I've got the cordless circ saw. I've got a corded DeWalt recip saw. And then,
Whoa! You bought all these things separate? Yeah. Why?
I don't know. And then I've got
Amateur hour over here.
then I've got that cordless oscillating multi-tool.
So I went corded on that tool.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
that's not something I
For
would have put
price?
on there 10 years ago.
I definitely go corded on
For,
that tool
for price
too.
or for power and
sometimes you're sanding with it and
Yep.
like you need to plug it in. So
It will not handle
Okay.
sanding.
and which model did you buy? Whose brand? What brand?
DeWalt.
So I got a DeWalt corded one, which I think we all agree has got the best blade mount. And
I did
as
not
far
buy
as
a
value,
DeWalt, and I will tell you why. I have the DeWalt, and I am so freaking sick of trying to find blades for
It
it.
is a pain to find.
You
blades.
can't find them
You
anywhere.
have to order them on Amazon.
Yeah.
What's the one that I don't
Actually,
even
no,
know
I
what
bought the
I'm-
DeWalt too. Sorry. I thought I didn't. Apparently, I did. But
It's a good tool,
Yeah, that's so that one's.
but you have to plan ahead for blades.
so that's 140 bucks.
I kind of
for
feel
that
like,
kit.
all right, I guess if you're sanding, but do you really need? I mean, that seems to be like
It's not a great sanding tool.
a super like backup tool. Like you're not going to use it primarily for many things, but like when you need to get out of a jam, it's
That's why I thought cord was
it's
just
good.
fine.
Really?
Right.
Oh, so it's a cost factor for you.
Yeah, and like having batteries charged, and I bought other cordless tools from a different brand, so that means that all of a sudden I need to buy batteries and a charger.
I
and
do like just being able to grab that thing and just go wherever I need to go and
Cordless
go,
wise,
Yeah,
yeah.
get in the back of a cabin or whatever it is. You know, it's just convenient.
Yeah.
Given our budget, I decided to go corded.
You know what I didn't think about with the cordless kit is what Oh, they come in 3 amp hour batteries. That's good. I was curious. I'm like, I wonder if I should have planned on getting another battery.
So
So
I think
it comes with 2 batteries. The kit, the cordless kit.
So I've got just a quick question,
Yes.
or a little sidebar. So again, I had mentioned that I stuck with the DeWalt stuff just because I bought one tool that was on a certain battery platform, so I just kept it. But personally, at home, I'm like on the Makita platform. Are you mostly DeWalt?
I am for cordless. I think that they make the best cordless tools.
Yeah. Patrick, what do you?
And that changes. You know, you can listen to this podcast 3 years from now and it'll be a different
I've been
favorite.
kind of happy with my Makita stuff. But
I'm pretty agnostic. I have DeWalt, I have Milwaukee, I have Makita.
I have not been
all right,
super
tool
happy
editor.
with.
Stop
Well,
bragging.
And it's just
I've
stuff.
got every platform for everything.
No, it's just stuff that you accumulate, right? Because
Yeah,
one
for
thing
sure.
is better than another.
I mean, I've
and-
had Rigid, I've had Bosch, I've had Milwaukee. I enjoy the Milwaukee, but when DeWalt came out with their tools,
the 20 volt
several years back, the 20 volt, and they
that we all know is 18, right?
yes,
we
and
have
they,
to always remind people of that.
and they redesigned their grip on all their tools, and they're a lot more comfortable to use, and they've been super reliable, and so that to me is the one that I would recommend first.
Right on.
But to get to the point of the batteries, I had to circle back. These do come with 3 amp hour batteries. That would be something to watch out for when somebody's buying one of these toolkits. You can often get tricked into buying a cheaper.
I've seen them as low as 1.6.
Right. And the lower amp hour is going to basically equate to runtime.
I've got.
It's not power. They're all the same power, but the amp hours is how much fuel you have in the tank, essentially. So you have a smaller gas tank if you have a 1.6 versus a
How about a 1.3?
That's
Is that what
Is that
yours
what yours
is?
is?
That's what this kid is.
Yeah, see,
and quite
that's-
honestly, I didn't even pay attention to it.
Which is like, again, it's not. That's not like that's a real problem. But if your part of your work is driving lag screws, timber locks or something over and over again, you're going to run through it real quick, and then you have to wait.
So in
Or it
reference
won't have
to
the torque, or won't have not the torque, but the it won't have the guts to really carry you through the heavier duty jobs.
Are we actually talking about power? Or are we talking about like runtime?
It's runtime, but it will blow through. Correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, but it will. It will
I see
like
what
your
you're saying.
few
Yeah,
you
miles
won't,
per
you won't
gallon.
be able to drive
Right.
as many fasteners.
right on. Yeah, I gotcha.
So I went the other end of the spectrum. I got a 2-tool cordless combo kit.
That's what he did too.
With an impact driver and a cordless hammer drill.
Yep.
And it's got 2 5-amp-hour batteries. And this was the best performing one in our test that Jeremy Hess did relatively recently. So
What was it, Brandon?
it's a Makita.
Oh, it's Makita.
And it's beautiful.
How much?
That's a good question. But this was the second most expensive thing on my list. And it is $359.
Mine was $430.
Yeah, but I have only 2 tools in here.
I know. You guys are really blowing the budget. Jeez.
So I bought a good table saw and a good cordless combo kit. What do you hear about my air compressor?
well,
so that's the third most expensive thing on my list.
Me too.
well,
I bet we chose the same one.
I bet we did too.
I'm still floored how much you guys spent on that table saw.
It's pretty useful, man.
But why is it more useful than a DeWalt? For
I don't
for
know.
an
like I
extra
said,
150
Honestly,
bucks?
I just went
I
with what I'm
wouldn't-
using.
yeah.
I like it. I've never used the DeWalt. I heard about that rack and pinion fence. Cool.
It's cool.
I have not had issues with the Bosch fence.
I think they're both good tools.
I didn't even know you had the Bosch, Rob.
I do.
You done do. All right, fourth item on the list. I got a full round head framing nailer.
I got one of those too.
Wait a second.
Yeah,
As the most expensive?
as the fourth most expensive. $200. 200 buh.
I
So
got
that
my air compressor as third slot.
Me too.
Oh, mine's way down.
Makita?
DeWalt,
I got the
229, twin stack, oil lube.
I'm 319 twin
So
stack.
this sucker's gonna last forever too.
I cheaped out on the compressor.
Wasn't the Makita like the best in the recent
Yeah, and
review?
I originally had that in my list, but it was too expensive.
Oh, okay.
I needed other tools.
Get ready
I
to be
gotcha.
pissed, guys. Ready? What I got?
You went like bottom of the.
Campbell household.
$99.99 for a Porter cable pancake.
That's not a bad deal.
It's all you
Alright.
need, man.
But how are you gonna run a framing gun with that?
You'll
Ooh,
run.
so that's interesting.
I'm not a
we'll get-
production framer. This is remodel framing. It's gonna be no problem.
I don't know, man.
I don't even know if I have a framing nailer on
Name
my
me
list.
name me a framing situation where I'm gonna
Sheathing.
be going too fast. What am I sheathing?
Come on,
I don't know.
Patrick.
I'm inside.
You're gonna use that sometime.
And I honestly remodel framing, impact driver.
Yeah, there's a
For
good
the-
point to that.
For the subfloor, yeah. And I don't.
So,
yeah, you're right.
I
Like
think
just like a small little partition wall or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly for trim.
part of my list is like
Yeah, right.
growing. Right, this is the only compressor you'll ever need, really.
Yes.
It's gonna fill your tires. It's
I
gonna.
kind of felt that way too. Like,
This
if I
is-
had one, this would be it.
It's like a good balance between portability and enough air delivery.
All right.
Yeah. All right. I was looking at those pancake compressors.
I just figured it was a good place
like
to.
that Porter-
That's some. You're
I'm thrifty, man.
pretty thrifty here.
So you can get that Porter
good
cable
stuff.
compressor sometimes with like 3 nail guns, right?
Yep.
15, 16, and 18 gauge.
I wouldn't do that.
and that's like, I don't know, that's like $300 or something
I
ridiculous.
thought about it and I wouldn't do it because I just don't
You don't
trust.
need all those nailers.
I also don't like those nailers. Yeah. Let's talk about nailers.
So on my list, fourth most expensive was a combo kit of a Hitachi 18 gauge brad nailer and a full head framer that takes 2 to 3.5 inch.
A brad nailer and a framing nailer came as a package.
Isn't that weird? For $228, I was like, I cannot pass that up because
Hey,
went
do you
with-
like framing stuff? Because you might also like firing extremely small nails into trim. And if that's the case, we'll sell these to you both.
so part of my cost cutting was taking off my Max full head framer, which is, the nicest one there is, and a separate Hitachi 18 gauge. So when these two were together, I was like, oh, that's perfect.
I went with the Bossage full round head, and I got the one that is able to switch between firing framing nails and switch into positive placement mode, so you
That's
can
a cool
shoot
gun.
so you can shoot
Really?
joist hanger nails into
Yeah.
metal hardware.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah, dude, $199.
really.
You guys are the worst at this.
Yeah, no framing nailers. I got a
I was expecting Patrick to go for
pin
the pass
nailer.
load.
I've got a pin nailer and a finished like 15 gauge Boss Stitch nailer.
I don't
Go
know.
15 and then pin nailer?
15 and 23.
23, huh?
Yeah.
I don't have one of those.
Amateur hour over here in Yagidville.
I thought about the framer, but I was like, no, I'm not. I don't need a framing gun.
Next thing on my
honestly though, it's a fair point for remodel. If you're doing remodel work, you probably don't need one. It's helpful. You can often get yourself into more trouble than you realize, though, if you're not used to framing, because once you shoot 6 nails into something and then realize, I need to move this a little bit.
That's what's nice about the screws.
Yeah, invest in good construction grade screws like GRKs or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
But for this is an interesting choice though for finish nailers. I went with a 16 and an 18.
I went with a
No pin nailer.
15.
16 and 18. Can you explain that?
I went with a 15 and an 18.
So, I mean, typically people choose between a 15 or a 16. I have always used a 16. I just like it better. I don't know why. The nails are not as big as a 15, but
They split less.
They split less. Then the holes they leave are smaller. Frankly, I've never had a problem like, oh, my door casing is falling off with these 16 gauge nails. I wish I did a 15.
Yeah.
So,
But you seem to be sorry. What do you go with? You went with a
16.
16 and an 18.
Yes, 18 is the brad nailer. I did not go all the way down to a pin nailer. I don't feel like somebody getting into this is going to have much use for a pin nailer.
That's true.
You can always use glue.
Yeah, 18 is going to get you.
Yeah, but you need the pins to hold the piece in place while the glue sets up.
18 is going to get you through,
Yeah.
shoe molding
Yeah.
or door stops,
Little cove
and
or
coves. And,
I got you.
Casing for the 16 gauge and
right, when a lot of people, and I'm a fan of this too, switch, if I have 2 hoses set up, 16 gauge nails on the outside edge of door casing, 18 on the inside where they go into the door jamb itself because they're less likely to split there.
we're on the same page. I just went with a bigger gun because you can also use that to start the first courses of hardwood flooring. You can nail down stair treads. You can
Totally.
thicker hardwoods. 15 gauge works better.
And it's worth noting that a 15 gauge has an angled magazine, which is easier to get into tight corners. I do not have that in 16.
The Hitachi I picked out too has the blowgun in the on the housing, which is pretty sweet. Feature.
Have you used that much? Because I've had one tool that had that, and the O-ring blew out on it, and it just became the biggest pain in the butt because it just bled air.
So was the
constantly.
Hitachi or the Cadex?
It was a Cadex.
Yeah, so I've heard that too about that tool, but I've never heard anyone complain about the Hitachi.
You know what? I have a Hitachi stapler, I think, that has it, and it's never been a problem.
Yeah.
So maybe you're right.
It's cool, right?
I don't have a lot of Hitachi tools in general, but I have a couple.
They're pretty good at making air tools, I would say.
Yeah, and I don't prefer them for power tools. They seem to have a spotty track record.
They're
They're pretty good with air
Yeah,
tools,
we talked
though.
about that, right? They used to be.
I mean, but they're like the king of, not the king,
King
but
of
I mean,
pneumatics, or-
they're really still hanging tight with the pneumatic tools.
So I have their twin stack compressor right now, and it's so hard to carry. Even though it was
The boat anchor.
it was, I think it was $100 less than the DeWalt I picked for the list, but I just wouldn't tell anyone to buy that because it's ridiculously heavy and the parts stick off of it and they break off. It's great for someone who's going to take really good care of it and probably keep it in one place. But if you're thinking about moving it around, I would go elsewhere.
Yeah. Did you guys put any shop vacs on your list?
I did. That was my 5th most expensive thing, I want to say.
I just went with a $65 shop vac.
Mine was $69.
Ooh, what'd you go with?
Did you have the shop vac brand?
I went shop vac,
You
5
had the stainless
gallon.
steel one, didn't you?
No.
Like a baller.
So I picked the rigid
yeah,
that
the
I see
stainless
on
steel.
everyone's
Yeah.
job site.
What do you?
I picked the rigid that I see on everyone's job site.
How'd you get a rigid on Amazon?
I don't know, and I think the price is high compared to what it would be at Home Depot.
Yeah, I mean,
someone flipping? Is
truthfully,
that someone flipping a rigid? Is
I
it
guess
used?
so. It's like $200. I don't know. Is that what they cost in the? No, I didn't think so.
truthfully, this is the one item that I probably of the whole list of stuff that I couldn't find the one I wanted on Amazon. I would get
I
this one
agree.
at Home Depot or somewhere else because I want the rigid.
That's what we see everywhere.
Yeah,
and they're bulletproof.
Yeah, they're just
How much are they? Do you,
I
do
think
you
it's
recall?
about $100 or
it's around
150.
what we're paying.
Okay.
It depends. Like how many horsepower is yours?
4.5.
Yeah. See, I went a little more. I went 5.5,
This is 5 I'm looking at.
and I think that's where you want to be
Yeah.
because you want
you
want
need a
that
big
thing
hose.
to. I think you really want to get in that 5.5 range, Rob.
The used car salesman over
Yeah.
here. Let me bump you up to the 5 horsepower.
That 4.5 is going to rust up on you. It's just when you're towing and you're going uphill with that vacuum, you're going to want the extra suction. No, I mean it's a cheap upgrade on a vacuum to get a higher horsepower, and
works.
just has more guts. It will suck up.
I like that this one
It
has
will actually pick up stuff.
a filter that you can dust out with an air hose, a
So
blowgun.
how do you feel about the high end in this category, like Fines or the Bosch or the Festool? Like,
For our fictitious user, I'd say that's shooting too high.
well, I'm just saying in general, like
It's nice stuff.
blanket statement. Is this some place where people should just chill out a little bit and maybe get that?
I am in the minority when it comes to talking about Festool shop vacs. Shop vac's a brand name. Sorry, Festool
Dust collectors.
collectors.
No, it's dust extractor, right?
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Those are nice
Wet
for
dry
hooking,
vac?
those are nice for hooking up to Festool tools. I don't find them. I find them to be pretty much completely frustrating when using them for general shop vac tasks.
The hose is too small.
Hose is too small in diameter to pick up anything without clogging. I know you can get a bigger one, but it doesn't come with that.
for another $200.
It also has a really minuscule area of collection. Like it doesn't hold a lot of stuff, and it just and the filter is very sensitive. If you don't use bags, it will clog constantly, and the bags are expensive. So it's just to me it's great for those Festool products and the tools that hook to it because of the automatic tool triggering. They turn on, the vac turns on when you pull the trigger.
And it's really quiet.
But the like something like the Rigid for $75 or ish, somewhere around there, it's just got so much guts. It's just like you turn it on and it just will suck your hair off your head.
You hear that, Patrick?
I'm a big fan. And
I'm wearing a hat today.
I would say that a good shop vac would be a necessity for any remodeling project.
Sure.
That's like something you just absolutely have to get right away.
Yes. Cool. That's what happened to Jeff's hair, by the way.
Yeah. What else you got? What's next?
So I got a Makita 5477 7.25-inch hypoid
So you did.
circ saw. Yeah.
Why hypoid versus worm
It's
drive?
lighter, and I've had this saw since 1993,
Explain that,
and it
hypoid.
still
I don't
works great. So it's just a different gear arrangement than a worm drive. It's configured with the blade on the left and the handle on the back like a regular worm drive, but it has a ring and pinion gear much like you'd find in a car's differential instead of a worm gear and I think it's called a pinion gear.
Is that clear, Rob?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Gears are different.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But
You don't need to put oil in it. It's permanently lubricated.
Yeah.
It makes it lighter. I know this saw is really reliable because, like I said, I've had one since 1993.
I've never put oil in my worm drive. So.
okay. Did you go with a corded circ saw? Or do you have that cordless
I
wall in
didn't,
your
but
kit?
now that I have a little extra money left over,
You're going for it?
I might dip into my beer budget a little bit and put a worm drive on there.
That's a mistake.
I've had great. I don't know which brand I would buy, to be honest with you. It's been a while since I went shopping for a worm drive.
Because they last forever, right?
Yeah, they're pretty freaking bulletproof. I'd probably get one that has easy blade changes, and I don't really use one that I don't really find much use for a rafter hook on it. A long cord might be nice. I have a Bosch right now.
That's a real worm drive with a.
Even then, like the Rigid, this tool is hard to kill, I find.
And it's really versatile too. Like people forget you can cut concrete with it. You can cut steel with it. The new carbide tip steel cutting blades are mind blowing how they work.
I want some of that. I need some of that.
And so you can get diamond blades to cut like control joints in concrete.
Yeah.
It's like super versatile.
Yeah. Sidewinders.
Can't do that with a cordless either.
Do you use a Sidewinder, Rob?
I do.
You like to look around awkwardly at the blade?
Yep. I do.
I have a Sidewinder too, and I do use it.
Why is the blade on the wrong side?
Yeah, I don't know. Porter Cable used to make one where it was on the other side, and
Yeah,
it was
they
a
don't
really
make
nice
that anymore.
It was a really nice saw. Mm-hmm. It really had a nice comfy handle and had a little dust port that you could eject the dust off the one. Anyway, did you guys put a level on your list?
I have a set.
We talked about that yesterday, Patrick. Remember?
I decided these are one of the tools
forgot.
that I've tried every lesser quality thing and was so dissatisfied. Like I would tell someone, pry open your bank account and spend some money on some Stabila levels.
And which one did you get?
So I got this is the 29824 3-level Pro set, which includes a 4-footer, a 2-footer, and a torpedo.
Cool.
Okay, I went for the same. I went for a Stabila, which is a 2-pack, a 24 and a 59.
So I'm assuming a torpedo is super versatile, but you're assuming that was in their normal.
I didn't even think of it, to be honest, but yes, I would think that I would want to have a torpedo in my that rides with me in my tool bag.
Me too.
But I totally agree with you.
Are you at 112 price point for that? combo?
189 for mine.
Whoa. So my 3-pack was
Oh, this is a 48 and a 16.
was only 116, which seemed like a
What?
really good deal. And that's prime shipping.
Not a sponsor. Yes, I totally agree with you, Patrick. I think it's very tempting to cheap out on a level, but they just don't hold
work.
up. They don't last, and you don't want to find out later that it's not reading correctly. You just want it to be reliable. And I actually originally tried to look for a Sola, S-O-L-A. I prefer that brand over Stabila, but it was just a little bit more expensive and didn't seem to have as many options in terms of packaging lengths. Like, if people that are not familiar with Stabila, you can get package deals of like pretty much whatever you want to get. Like, do you want a bunch of little shorties? Do you want really long and then a really short? I mean, they sell them in so many different combos.
Are yours box beam or that R beam?
Mine's box beam.
Minor box.
Yeah. I do have the R beams at home though.
Yeah, they're sweet, right?
They're so it's sort of a tangential thing, but you just have to understand what they're good for. So they're super stiff. So I never would have thought of this.
Justin likes a lot of flex in his levels.
Honestly, though.
You're prying, you know?
No, but listen, because I thought the same thing. I thought, wow, a super stiff level, that's what you want. And then take your first job where you're going to scribe a line on a long wall for, let's say, putting up chair rail. Take the level, you get it to read correct, and then you push it against the wall so that you can scribe the pencil, because the wall's never going to be perfectly flat. So those you can't push. They're so stiff that you can't bend it a little bit, which sounds like, well, who cares? But people use levels for scribing a line, and they made those R beams purposefully to have crisp edges so that you can use them to scribe lines. Yet, if it's not perfectly flat, it's really hard to get it to conform to a bowed wall.
All
I
right.
don't know if my levels bend to the.
They do. I bet you do it and you don't even think of it.
That's interesting.
Because I never
Pay
thought of it
attention.
until
Yeah.
I went to do it and I couldn't.
I forgot levels on my list.
Interesting.
Dang it.
Rob, this is really embarrassing
I
for
know.
you.
So you put a cordless sawzall in your comes in your kit, right?
Yeah, and I don't know, Patrick. I'm really
So
kind
once
of...
again, I'm like, that's a corded tool, right?
know.
Yeah, I went with corded.
But I mean, it's nice to have the cordless. I think I would probably, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, it's really nice to have a cordless.
I feel like it's
you
like one of
find-
those tools, like in a demo situation, that's going to get a lot of use.
And if you have a corded version, it's going to last a decade
Yeah.
or 20 years. Are you going to give it to your kids?
I'm telling you, though, you
I
will
was a s-
find that you will use it more if it's cordless.
And I was a sucker for the Amazon reviews because I went with the DeWalt DWE304 because it had 413 reviews and almost a 5-star rating.
Well, everyone will tell you who knows anything that a
much?
Milwaukee corded
$80
recip saw is the way to go.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know.
$118, which seems like a good deal for something that's going to last decades.
Did you say anybody who knows anything?
I did.
I like it.
I'm glad you didn't notice that right away.
All right, so
Step ladder.
What I'm learning so far is that I would not go to
Did
Rob's
anyone put a
house.
step ladder
Well,
on
so
there?
that's where we get into like
Yeah.
not semantics, but like what are the parameters here? I mean, we
Think you
were
gotta
talking about
spend-
tools. Yes, ladders are super important.
I'm assuming you have a ladder already.
Yeah, I think
But
that was my assumption that you had a ladder.
But I did put in a mini multi-purpose scaffold. And I will
that's
tell you
pretty cool.
why.
That's pretty cool.
$90. This thing's about 30,
makes it-
30 plus Pro Series. It's a Pro Series GSSIM. 4-inch mini multi-purpose scaffold. It's not 4-inch tall. But it has a 500-pound capacity. It's got 4 5-inch locking swivel casters. It's narrow, and it's a good height for several things. I'll tell you why I've gotten into the habit of using these. On a big remodeling project, it's nice to be able to be in situations where you can work overhead that you're not in a ladder. That's one thing. But the second thing is I use it for storing all of my tools so that I can move room to room
So it's a
and
rolling
stay
workbench.
organized, yeah. So at the end of the
Pretty
day, at the end of the day, you pack up all of your stuff, put it all on this thing, which you can add shelves to.
It's a good move.
How about a jigsaw?
All right.
Speaking of scaffolding, how about a jigsaw?
Well, I'm looking at the time.
Apparently-
It's like we got
I think
10 minutes.
I wanted
wants to
to,
move along.
I wanted to put a jigsaw, but I think I was out of money.
I had to cheap out on my jigsaw, but I did put one in there.
You guys are out of money already.
Drywall screw gun.
No, because you got an impact
Rotozip?
driver. No.
What are you guys doing?
I should have put a rotozip on there
For what?
for drywall.
Most of that work that you're doing in that top floor, that is going to be drywall work.
Yeah,
So you guys are going to not be
And
able to cut.
you're gonna hang an entire
Plus, it's
remodel with an impact driver.
that's a cheap tool.
Yeah,
Well, I wouldn't.
$70-something bucks.
No, I wouldn't.
I didn't get a collated one.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't get a drywall gun.
You're sitting there with an impact driver.
Or you could use a cordless drill.
True.
Did you put an air hose on there?
Yeah, I think it did.
I put
Coil hose pneumatics, Patrick. The only brand to buy.
I got a Hitachi because it was $20, I think, but it's
Did you get a polyurethane?
polyurethane.
Yeah, for sure, polyurethane.
I got a polyurethane
because you
as
can
well.
just take the PVC hose that comes with your compressor and just
throw
throw
it
it
away.
right in the dumpster.
Or it'll trip you and you'll do it later.
Get into that a little bit. The types.
So PVC is the cheapest and the least flexible and the
Rubber's
most
the
Most
frustrating.
memory in it, and
Yeah, it's like you can't even. It's like rigid.
And
are,
if it's
are the PVC ones that are typically going to coil anyway, or no?
sometimes, but it's just like plastic
You know what I
tube.
mean?
No. Do you mean like a spring?
Self-coiling,
No.
yeah. They have those.
PVC?
Yeah.
But that's not. Okay, but typically it's one you get when you buy the compressor. It's the crappy one,
So then you can get rubber, which is really durable and easy to live with, but it's super heavy.
and it also for finish situations it will pick up
Rub.
and hold dirt
And it'll
it will
scuff stuff.
leave marks. Yeah. Did you get a laser tape measure?
No.
I did. Best $30 you can add onto your list, guys.
Random orbit sander.
No.
For sure. Bosch.
I forgot a sander. I hate sanding,
corded?
maybe.
Yeah. Oh, definitely corded. You kidding me? Let me tell you something on the list that I have.
I got the Makita cordless.
Cordless?
Yeah.
A cordless sander?
Yeah.
I am not going to Rob's job.
What are you doing? What are you refinishing the floor with your little random orbit sander? Come on. It's fine.
Have you ever used a cordless sander before?
Yeah, I've got one. I use it all the time,
Really?
and it's fine.
Where did you get a cordless sander?
I don't know.
Are you stealing stuff from the office?
No, Patrick just hooks me up with extended field testing.
Yeah, send me down the river.
Let me tell you, one specific item that I have found to be invaluable that I would highly recommend.
Patrick doesn't even have a sander, by the way. Rough work
believe in
over there.
sanding.
Rough work over at Patrick's project.
Irwin Quick Grip bar clamps. You get
Yeah,
the
those are
heavy,
great.
You get the heavy
Yeah,
duty.
you're
You get
absolutely
the
right.
18-inch length. You buy 2 of them. It seems like a lot of money because they're $26 a pop, but you will use these things for everything. They are strong enough that you can clamp framing stuff into place. You can support. You can do a lot of stuff with one person if you have these 2 clamps as a pair. Okay, so get yourself some of those.
I put a Craig jig on here.
So did I.
All right.
The K4.
Yeah.
For sure. For finish work for a newbie?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Patrick?
Patrick didn't have that.
I think I would say that's a later purchase, but I understand. It's great.
I also did the angle finder gauge.
That's useful.
Invaluable.
So you're getting into the nit and the grit.
Yeah, because when I get after the drywall that all these tools that you bought, I have to put a trim up and everything,
That's right, you do.
So what's the cheapest thing on your list?
That was the angle finder.
How about you, Rob? I'll go while you're finding. So
PEX crimp tool.
Really? Did you put that in there?
yeah, wow, that's cool.
Which one? That's an interesting choice.
I got the clinch style.
The one
for
that
the clinch clamps.
pinches the
Yeah.
little.
But quite honestly, that was like 4 minutes before the podcast, and I looked for the cheapest thing.
So my
Because
cheapest. Oh, go ahead.
The crimper that I don't have is not that clinch style. It's the actual.
Squeezer.
Yeah.
So my cheapest thing was a Hyde Manufacturing pry bar scraper. Once again, anyone who knows anything about trim carpentry knows that this is the molding bar you need, and it's super useful.
Yes.
Costs $6.30.
I love that, like just a little backhanded, little.
Yeah, Patrick's like.
If you dare disagree with me, you don't know what you're talking about.
I like when Patrick took over the timing of the show. We got to hurry up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, what's your cheapest thing, Justin?
Mine was the angle finder, but I also second cheapest is a non-contact voltage tester, which I highly recommend for
very
anybody
handy
doing
for
That's
remodeling.
good.
Yeah.
If you're ripping into walls, you need to be able to touch stuff quick and make sure
Yes.
that verify the power is off.
That's good.
I'm gonna admit to putting a stud finder on there. I don't know how you guys feel
Oh,
about
for
that.
sure. I
Yeah.
spent a lot on a stud finder.
What stud finder did you use?
I went with the Pro Sensor 710 by Franklin Sensors. It's the only stud finder to buy.
really?
It cost $50, and it is fantastic.
No, see, I have to put that on my list because I put the Zircon on that everyone has, and it
Yeah,
works pretty decent, but it's not.
It's not a bad doorstop.
I'm concerned about Justin's math here. thought he was thrifty, but I think he just didn't add up his
He just, like,
his
yeah,
list
blew the
correctly.
budget.
Yeah. He's gonna be at $3,500.
You can add up my shopping cart right now. You can take a look at it.
I'm all set.
It's just that you guys
What else you
blew
got?
all your money on these high-end things.
Yeah, that's true.
I saved some money for the tools that are going to be useful in the back end.
Yeah, that compressor was a smart choice.
Yeah.
I'll give that to you.
How about a tool belt?
I have
Do you have a tool belt in there? Because if you're a newbie and you don't have a tool belt,
Well, I thought that you. Okay.
I'm not assuming that.
I assumed a lot. So what do you put for a tool belt?
respirator, you got that?
I do.
No, I don't have a respirator.
Well, I guess you're going to die.
Yeah.
It's going to be
It's gonna be sad.
Eventually.
Rob.
Remodeling-
Your
Hey, guys-
wife's gonna be sad.
Here, I'm gonna break the news to you. So are you.
remodeling. Remodeling tends to be dusty, so I went with a half face piece respirator with particulate filters.
That's cool. I would have gone with a zip wall if I had a little bit more money, like the telescoping poles. Those are nice. Remodeling situation. Block the
Pretty darn
doorway off.
expensive.
Yeah, that's your whole $2,500.
Dude, you're done. So I
Little
put
paint booth up there.
I put a cat's paw, Japanese style nail puller on there, which is like once again one of those tools that once you have, all the others don't make sense anymore.
And that's worth adding to the list, I think, because that's probably not something you're going to find in a standard all-in-one kit. They
What
typically put a nail puller.
What tool belt did you put on there?
I put actually it's an Irwin tool belt. If you could afford to spend decent money on a tool belt, I would. I'm a big fan of Occidental
Me
leather
too.
tool belts.
Did you go with the polyester 6-pouch?
But yeah, I went with just a $50 polyester tool belt that looked like it had the right amount of pockets and it was inexpensive. And the polyester is nice because it's just super light and comfortable to wear.
I cheaped out. I spent $20 on a Grain Tex, which is a brand we all know and love, right? 10 pocket nail and tool pouch.
I have a Grain Tex tattoo.
Patrick, do you wear a tool belt when you're working, or are you a bucket guy?
He puts it on his vacuum.
Oh yeah. You put your tool belt on your vacuum.
Often, if I'm working on the ground, often if I'm on a ladder, I wear a belt, or if I'm framing, I wear a belt. But like normal remodeling,
Yeah.
it hurts my back to wear it anymore.
Nobody talked about routers.
I thought about it.
I thought that was second tier.
I have a compact router on my list for $99. A Makita. It's a nice one.
You could clearly afford it. Go
How
for
about a
it.
foam gun, anyone?
I did not put a
No,
foam
that's
gun.
smart.
Yeah, so there you go.
My list blows, man.
It really does. You really blew it.
How about an extension cord? A good extension cord? I spent $30 on an extension cord.
So
I've
what
got-
is a
I've got
good
no
extension
power.
cord?
Well, it's tough to tell on Amazon how flexible they are, but I picked one that was $50. It had light up ends, or a light up end. So it tells you it's energized.
What gauge?
So I went with 12 because you can use that for your table saw, for your recip saw, right?
And when just briefly, Patrick, what is the danger of using too small a gauge of extension cord for a heavier duty tool?
Well, it's bad for your tools because they're not getting all the power they need, and it's also going to make it more likely that the breaker is going to trip because it can't flow as many electrons through it. So
Right. Electrons.
Listen to this guy.
How are you doing with electrons on your end?
I'm worried
Rob?
some electrical engineer is going to
My electrons
write
are
a
strong
letter.
to very strong.
your electron. So yeah, we can share this list. So what was your
Are
grand
you
total?
are you tapped out?
What did you got? That's my whole list. Did you have other stuff on yours?
No.
I got one other thing is a auto rewind Tajima chalk line.
It's a really good choice.
That is, once again, the thing you try everything else and then you find the right thing and you never want to do
Yeah,
anything
Tajima
else.
chalk lines are the shizzy. I would, you know what I didn't put on here that I should have? A construction calculator.
That is a good choice.
That's a really helpful thing to have when you're starting out. It can do a lot of work for you that might otherwise confuse you. If you spend a little time learning how to input the variables that are easy to find into the calculator in the right way, it will calculate the really hard parts of carpentry for you.
and it has a great manual, right?
It's really helpful.
Yeah.
Not a super cheap tool. I don't know what that costs. I'd have to look it up. But
Used to be $100.
also got I did not mention this, Rob. I wasn't done. A crossline laser, a self-leveling crossline laser, which is I find to be extremely useful for everything from rough to finish work, because you can establish level lines, plumb lines. It's great for laying out tile and trim. It's great for establishing door heights.
So there's lots of options, right? Which did you go with?
I went, and it is a freaking mystifying category. You can spend, El Cheapo, or you can spend thousands of dollars. I got a Bosch GLL 55 for $129, and that gives you a cross-line laser. So it's not a dot, and it's not. It doesn't have a rotary laser, so it doesn't spin. so it's not 360, but it will project a level line and a plumb line. So,
And this is the thing that's about the size of a tape measure, right? A big
yeah,
tape
it's a
measure.
little bigger than that, yeah. And I would recommend, and you know, everybody's taste is gonna be a little bit different when shopping for a laser, and we have some articles that can kind of break down the different categories and uses for you. But it's a super helpful tool if you're working in an old house and trying to keep things looking consistent. You know me, I like to have nice level lines from room to room and things that line up horizontally.
I know you, Justin.
You know me.
I know that about you.
Yep. And don't overlook that compact laser measure either. A 35-foot distance laser measure by Bosch is $30, and that thing could be such a huge time saver when you're
And if
working
you're
in an
working
old
by
house.
yourself too.
Yeah,
You know.
you can get super accurate, like, because a lot of times you know it's not like you're cutting every stud to 8 feet and then just rocking and rolling. It's helpful to stand from one side of the room and press it up against the top plate, shine it across, and go, I need this piece of strapping to be this length, 16 inches away, it's this length, 16 inches away, it's that length, and just mark them there, and you can get really nice custom, no hassle, you know, measure once, cut once kind of results.
Patrick, anything left on your list?
No, we didn't talk much about jigsaws because you didn't have one. So I was curious how you guys are going to cut holes and notches and
I
stuff.
put a quarter cable on
you
my
did
list.
have one?
Yeah. I think a jigsaw is huge.
Got to have it.
You're a fool to not have a jigsaw. What was your grand total?
$2,502.
Wow, you were right on the line.
2520.
I was at 2,220.
I gotta see this list, man.
Take
Are
a
you getting
look.
refurbished tools and all
No.
that? Were you
No.
getting like
Nope.
real?
Nope.
I would tell people
Really
if
You
they
guys
were,
spent a freaking fortune on the two top tools. That's why.
True.
You didn't need to.
I would
spent-
tell people who had to do this exercise.
Yeah, $300 less on the compressor almost. I think
That is a difference.
that's the difference right there.
It's a lot of Cliff Bars and beer, buddy.
I know.
You're going to be sorry when you're starved for air.
I could buy 2 quarter cable compressors.
Side by side.
Probably should have put some earplugs in there for those porter cable compressors, though.
They work pretty great, though.
It's just reliable.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna take these lists and we're gonna put them up on the blog. So if anybody's interested in checking these out in more detail, you can link right over to Amazon and drag it into your cart and
I'm
buy one.
also interested into hearing if we missed anything that was just
I'm sure we
totally
did.
obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I'm interested in the totally obvious, but also like those kind of things when you get down to like the clamps, where it's like if I had to do it over again and I had to tell myself 15 years ago what to buy, I would have told myself to buy this. You know, there's a lot of that learning that goes into this stuff.
One thing that you can't buy at Amazon that I would tell everyone to buy is prescription safety glasses, right? And you can use your HSA account, right? And
Yeah.
tax-free, get them tax-free, but that's
Yeah.
definitely something to spend some money on.
We talked about it, I think, at the
Don't shirk on
top
safety
of the
gear.
show, but it's pretty impressive. I mean, it's really impressive how much you could get for $2,500.
Gosh.
I think like when you said,
I agree.
I think when you first thought about this, like my first reaction was, all right, you're not going to get fully kitted out here.
Yeah, me too.
You know, but I mean, your list for sure is like you go to work.
Yeah.
You know, cool.
Before we leave, I just wanted to open up the conversation to, are there any things you guys can think of that you wish you didn't buy? Like stuff that you bought that you thought was going to be super useful and then you regret later? You know,
On
like,
our list?
Like if you
Or just in
No,
general?
if you had to go back and be like, boy, that was a stupid thing that I thought I was going to really need for all my work, but I really don't use it.
No, I probably would have just been a little thriftier in my selection process and I spent a little bit more time at the.
No. I don't mean in your list that you just made. I mean in real life stuff that you
Oh.
own. Like
So-
tools that you really just don't end up using that much of now. We talked off the air a little bit about a track saw
Yeah,
and
so
how
that was good.
helpful that can be. I
I
think
love that tool.
I do too. I
but-
use it constantly.
And I was going to put it on my list, but
It's just so
what do
expensive.
you got? The Festool or the Makita?
Yeah. So you're talking, what, $600 minimum?
They were both expensive.
Yeah.
And then we just talked about making your own shooting board
You
essentially.
can make your own shooting board for real cheap.
Yeah.
The other thing that I use a lot as like a next level purchase is the Trojan sawhorses. Those things are just so awesome.
What's great about those is they fold up, right?
fold
so you
up.
take them apart and you can put them in a corner.
And so
or whatever.
They
those
last
are, those are
forever.
essentially just the legs that you
Yeah.
kind of put a 2x4 across.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And
So they
they're-
pack up nice and tight.
They're expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but they are so worth the money. Anybody who uses them, it seems like has
Didn't
been
you start
a
off the
total
show by saying to make your own sawhorses?
I did. I'm
Yeah.
saying this is next
It's
level.
a hybrid. It's a hybrid.
This is next level, yeah. But I mean, if I was starting out, I wouldn't get those plastic Stanley folding ones. I would just make my own because those are not, I don't know.
How much are those Trojans?
They just break so easily, it seems like. The Trojans are, I want to say, $60 a pair or something.
It's not terrible if they're going to last for a long time.
One thing I made the mistake of doing is buying.
Don't just type Trojan and press enter. They are $72.99 or $60 a pair. Depends on the height you get. They have 35-inch tall and 27-inch tall, and that gets you enough for one sawhorse. So it gives you 2 sets of legs. So you need to spend twice as much to get a pair of sawhorses.
And you need a pair.
Yeah.
One's not much good.
What were you gonna say, Patrick?
So when I was getting started in this business, I bought a huge roll around compressor thinking that I would always have enough air, but that it's not portable, right?
And it takes forever to refill.
Yeah, and I was working on my own house, so I was like, well, I'm not going to be moving this around, but it's just not the right thing.
Yeah.
So I would buy a twin stack because that's useful for everything.
Yeah.
And it's portable.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. Good list. All right. So anyway, like I was saying, we're going to throw these all up onto the blog post so you can link to it and check out the list on Amazon. We'd love to hear about stuff that you think we missed, stuff that you disagree with, any of the tools we mentioned that you have found to be dogs. So give us yours. And if you want to create your own $2,500 list, do it on Amazon and send us a link, and we'll put your link in the blog also. That's going to wrap up the show for this week. If you have questions or topics you'd like to hear us discuss, shoot us an email, fhbpodcast@taunton.com. And if you like the show, get onto iTunes and share the love, give us a rating, give us a review. And remember, this is a grassroots effort, so it really helps us if you can spread the word to people you think might like the show. Until next time, this is Justin for Patrick and Rob saying happy building.